Welcome to episode 1. Okay, so starting on episode 1, I have created a few things from the Mythic emulator. First of all, I've created this map that I built off of random dice, and so I went ahead and threw dice down, and the different areas that the dice landed on, I created different size of townships. It ended up dividing up fairly evenly across 3 factions, so I ended up splitting the map up accordingly. So you have faction 1 that's to the north of this line, 2 which is to the south, and then 3 which is to the east. So the 3 factions, as I rolled up on the Mythic emulator, the top one was predominantly dealing with logs and forestry and general resources. The eastern one was dealing with food and things like, I think it had a salt mine and different resources such as that. And then, interesting enough, the south one was dealing with lots of metal and mines and iron and copper and things like that. So based upon that and the way that the dice landed on the map when I rolled it up, I created the map that you see here. And there were some hazards that was casted. One was a mountain range, so I added several mountain ranges where the dice fell. Also, there was a obstacle in the middle. This, I believe, is a swamp or mud pit. There's also some weird stuff going on up here to the north. Mythic wasn't really clear. It basically came up with dark and dangerous. So we got something dark and dangerous to check out over there. And I don't think anything... some ruins came up over here. It said ancient and mystery, and so we got some ruins there, and I think it came up a few other locations. So after I designed the map, I decided to roll and see what all was taking place amongst the factions. Apparently everybody's at war. The south versus the northeast, and then the east versus the south north, and so on. Currently, the south holds the larger predominant area of land, which makes sense because it has the more iron and more bulky of materials. But at the same time, they're kind of limited because of food processing. Food is mostly to the east, and so everything's kind of relying upon one another to get sorted out. And currently, they are all at, I guess you could say, like a Cold War. Now, I used fantasy icons for a lot of this, but in reality, we're set to a future. The years, we'll just say 2500, and the future is a bit dystopian. There hasn't been like a per se nuclear fallout, but definitely society's broken down. Different areas have been warring and fighting to, make their dominance known across the different countrysides. It is a modern setting, so there is firearms, and of course, bows and arrows and stuff are always a thing in dystopia. So that's in there too. Our current, and again, all this is rolled up on Mythic. Our current main character, I guess you could say, is Alex Randolph. Here's his strength and abilities. For abilities, he has medical and survival. Strengths and weaknesses, we have unshakable, so the more stress or tense he gets under, the better off he does. And at the same time, he's very bad at talking and politics and, shaking hands and stuff like that. So how I came up with these abilities is I used the point buy system from Mythic RPG, not the game master, but the actual RPG. And so if I did my math right, which I went over it twice to try to make sure, I should have around 20 points left that I can either put towards hidden strength or weakness. I can also put it towards a hidden ability or obviously hidden attribute. So as we come across different things that maybe Alex Randolph would be good at, but it's not listed, and it looks like it might be something that I use, more than one time, then we can, bump it up, and we have 30 points to play with for that. So about our character. Our character, Alex Randolph, is known for being resourceful and creative. He has a calm demeanor, and his abilities are often sought after by many, making him a valuable asset to any community or team he is part of. Now, the bad part about it is because he's disconnected and is bad with the diplomacy, he has a hard time finding a stable place to live or anything, because basically over time he wears out his welcome and has to move on. So one of the personal threads he has is to establish a home base and preferably a shop. Some people he currently has for his personal characters is Bell Garlock, is a chief or mentor from the town he left. Samuel Runk, that's the town leader, which is basically trying to get rid of him. And so the story that we're taking place at is, we will say that Alex is leaving Mount Ridge and headed either to Crackle or Thalum. I don't know which way he should head. Well, it'll probably be our first roll on the Mythic emulator. But he's basically been sent from Mount Ridge to another one of the satellite towns because they lost their medic and their tech, and currently communication with that township and stuff is down. Over general time there is sparse radio transmissions, predominantly in evenings, that can get through, but currently it looks like, according to the emulator, the town is communicating to each other, but they're not able to communicate by radio. In other words, their equipment is down right now. The only means of communication is by different people traveling from one town to the other, word of mouth basically. So they're going to send him over to hopefully repair the radio and get it transmitting, and also find out what the situation's like as far as medical. There's been a lot of death and diseases and stuff going on. So as he's a medic, he's a combat medic, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned that already. He's a combat medic / tech. So if he hasn't figured it out already, it's kind of in turmoil. So one of these towns will be in turmoil. We need to figure out who. And he is, I'm gonna say, probably a day away. So probably he's waking up the next morning. Let's find out where he's at. So we are leaving Mountain Ridge. We have 3 different ones. I don't think he'd head towards Harbor Town. So we're looking at Crackle or Thalum. I'm probably pronouncing these wrong. I made up these words from Mythic GM. So they are words that was made up that way. So if I pronounce it wrong, oh well. So let's take a look here. So we're going to roll and see which one he is going to join. So let's say, I think he would probably head towards Crackle because he isn't actually part of any of the factions. He's kind of agnostic, but he's primarily been spending his time up in the north. And we haven't named these, by the way. We haven't named the factions. That'll come later. So let's say that he's going from Mount Ridge to Crackle, and we will ask the emulator if this is a truthful thing or not. So let's see, we need a 65 or less. So let's get the first roll of the game going. We got it set for 1D100, and we get a 91. So that is a no, I believe. So we are not going to Crackle. We must be going to Thelum. So we're going to be located near Thelum. Like I said, we're about a day's out. We've been traveling along the way. I don't think we have anybody with us. Let's just ask Mythic on that one too. Did anybody join us on our adventure, on our trip over here? And we will say, now that's not a yes, no, let's see. We'll say it's, all right, so we are on a chaos factor of 6, and I'm going to say it's very unlikely. So, it's very unlikely that anybody's joining us. I wouldn't say it's no way. I will say it's very unlikely. So let's take a look here. We got one, and it's a 97. So let's take a look here. 6. Very unlikely. Ooh, that's an exceptional yes. So my question was, is anybody joining us? And that is for sure yes, right? Yeah, 97. Okay. All right, so that's definitely yes. Okay. I'm going to say that there's not many with us. There's probably just a handful of people. Maybe it was the people that was actually heading to Thelum to take the mail and communication, stuff like that. I wouldn't think that we was camped together per se, but we're probably in the general vicinity. And so let's set up our scene. Let's see here. So what we're gonna do is zoom out a little bit. Let's set up, I'm gonna set up my characters, my threads, and the scene. So you should see that here shortly. All right, so let's get a name. First of all, let's find out what is, let's get a name first. So we'll go here and, all right, so we got Fisher and M-I-K-I. Fisher and Mickey. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, Fisher and Mickey. So let's see, what are their demeanor? Set this, their demeanor is 10. Busy. Okay, they're busy. Neat. Okay. So, Fisher and Mika is a busy pair. So, we are planning on heading into Thelum. So, we break camp head into Thalum and get set up to repair the radio, and also we're gonna meet who's in charge and get all of that sorted out. So, Beans, we're starting a new scene. Let's go see if we have anything interesting happen in this scene. We'll reset it, and I believe it's a D10, and we get a 10. So I think that means that we are good. So our scene is a 10, so it rolls out like it should. So I'm gonna go ahead and break camp, Alex's, and I'm gonna get everything packed up and ready to go. I'll check on Fisher and Mickey, and as I'm packing up, I'm gonna go make sure they're awake and they're ready to go, and hopefully we'll be under very shortly. So do we that's a good Mythic question. Are we gonna make it to town before breakfast, or should we eat breakfast here? So if it's a yes, then we will eat breakfast now before we break camp, or while we're breaking camp. And if it's a no, then we will wait till we get to town. So should we eat breakfast here at camp? And it's a 60, and let's see, we are at chaos factor, and I'm gonna say that's probably a 50-50. So 60 should be a yes. So we should eat here, so we probably won't make it to town until probably noon. So we're gonna eat us some breakfast, and then as we break camp, we head out and go into town. So as we arrive at Thalum, what do we see? Like, what is it that we are experiencing? Is it I don't know. What would the experience be like? So let's see. How could we check that real quick? We got locations, encounters, objects. Actually, I have a tool that I can do that with. So what do we see or smell or hear? Let's take a look at what we got here. Oh, we hear mournful howling. Okay, that's good. Mournful, I mean, it isn't good that we're hearing mournful howling, but okay, so we hear mournful howling. So I'm gonna say that's probably a large group of people had passed away, and that's what we're hearing the howling from. Interesting. So right away we're kind of getting thrown right in the middle of it. So I'll ask Mythic, is it a funeral? I'm gonna say it's high probability. So let's take a look. 95, and we are on 6, and I'm gonna say it's very likely. So at 6, it's 45, and looks like 90 is the cutoff, and we got, so that's absolute. So I'm gonna say it's several funerals. Like, this is some sort of plague or something has been causing the people to end up in this state. So Alex arrives in town and just in time to see several groups of individuals moving their loved ones out to the hill, to the grave or cemetery, and he can just see that it's a, not only is it more than one or several, but it's not only the young, but it's the old also. There's you could tell that it's younger families and older families are all moving out. Well, it's kind of a rough scene right there. So I'm gonna go see if I can find out who or where the leader is. Um, I'll go up and ask somebody that seems to be overseeing some of the concessions, maybe let's see, maybe an attendant or something like that, and I'll ask where can I talk to who's in charge, and what might their name be. Now that's interesting. I need their name and where they will be. So let me get the name first. So let's try a name real quick. And we'll call Thora. Thora. Okay, that sounds like a good name. Let's add that to our list of characters. Gotta go from the bottom, I forgot. Thora. Alright, so I need to go talk to Thora. And most likely they're going to say that Thora's in a city center or a city town hall, something of that nature. So I go up to the city hall. Can I walk directly in? Is it secured? I don't think it would be secured. I'm going to say it's very unlikely that it's secured. So let's see here. Very unlikely, and we rolled a 32, and we said 6, and very unlikely. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely not secured. So I go in and I see the secretary or receptionist, and I announce that I am Alex, and I'm here from... My name's Alex. I'm here from Mountain Ridge. I was sent here to talk to Thora and get situated with what we need to get done in town. So is there an opening on Thora's schedule to have a sit down and a talk real quick? And I'm going to say that they're probably very much in a hurry to get this underway, so I'll roll an 11. I think that's an extreme yes. Let's double check. It's a 6, and I'm gonna say it is probably likely. So let's see here, likely. So that's an extreme yes. So I'm gonna say they probably just like directly usher me directly in. Let me make sure I read that right. It's an 11, yeah. Okay, so they just usher me. Oh yes, Thora's been expecting you. Please go directly in. So as I go in, inside the main office, what is it that I'm seeing? Let's take a look here. Oh, clothed in silk and velvet. Okay. Clothed in silk and velvet. So, in a silk and velvet wardrobe, I find an individual that is interesting here. Looks like compassionate. Yeah, it looks like compassionate. And Let's say compassionate and caring. So compassionate, caring, decked out in velvet. I need to write some of this down real quick here. Let's see. There we go. Rose sees I'm adamant, eager to try to assist. So she calls her assistant in and tries to can't is I'm done. Okay, so this is an interesting let's see, this is scene one, right? Yeah, scene one. And this is an interesting start to this adventure. So mournful howling, we met Thora. Okay, so I think we'll cut the video here, and in the next scene we'll see what we can find out with the radio, and I think that'll be our next scene. We'll be worrying about the radio because we need to get communication up. I think would be more important. If you know, as far as it being a short-term goal, so getting the radio up and running would be a quicker goal, I think, than whatever's happening medically. So that's where I think we will cut to, and so we'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoy this and have a good time. Well, have a good